Scott Cole, Nick Mazesco back with you, and we are going to cover some teams here, Nick, that could possibly win the Super Bowl. It's no disrespect to your Browns, but this is where we're at right now. We are in the AFC East, and we're talking about those Buffalo Bills with maybe one of the best up-and-coming quarterbacks in the league, Josh Allen. And I hate using the word phenomenal because for some reason everyone in sports and esports says so. But this guy is a phenomenal young quarterback.
Yeah, it's wild to think back to that draft. Remember when everybody said Josh Allen, we don't know if he'll be able to convert from Wyoming to the NFL. He might have been the third best QB in that draft. Josh Rosen taking ahead of him, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. Oh, he actually turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, he's down with the Carolina Panthers, as we covered a few weeks ago. If you want to go back to our YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch, you can catch them on demand. You can go out and get our audio podcast if you're listen to it that way. But we've been covering a bunch of teams, and we're almost halfway through the NFL. We got to hurry up here, Nick. We're actually going to be adding Thursday shows coming up here so we can get all of our NFL teams in, and then hopefully get to transition to some college football as well, because that's kind of where our heart and soul is. Let's start off talking about this offense. This is a team that played well a year ago. I mean, they were basically some coaching mistakes away from maybe going to the Super Bowl, right? They should have beat the Chiefs. I've never seen a game in that way. Not even in Madden, which we cover a lot of. Let's put all that behind a team that's primed for a Super Bowl run, and we go back to the quarterback, Josh Allen, and this offense. That's what really makes it go.
Yeah, listen, this team is going to live and die by Josh Allen, and hopefully it's not died, because Josh Allen was their leading rusher last year and their leading passer. He cannot do that again. That's why they addressed it in the draft. They draft James Cook out of Georgia. Obviously, they hope Devin Singletary maybe gives them something at the running back position. But this team is led by Allen, and they want to air the ball out to Stephon Diggs. Don't love the receivers behind him, Gabriel Davis, Jameson Crowder. Not a big fan of what they've got going back there. But listen, Dawson Knox was a really nice refreshment to the offense. I think people really liked what Knox brought to the offense last year. Offensive line played well. Listen, it's a good offense, but it is quarterback driven, and there's not a ton of depth. And I don't love that they didn't address that in the draft and didn't really address that in free agency.
Because Cole Beasley was the guy kind of last year that was kind of the dink and dunk when Diggs wasn't open. I mean, they did dump it down to the tight end quite a bit, but because of the salary cap and some moves that they made, that's the funny thing, right? You lose Cole Beasley with the salary cap. We'll get to defense soon, but one of your key additions is you add Von Miller to the squad. So the salary cap moves don't always aren't always interesting. But Trubisky's gone. You talked about the backup quarterback position. Stephon Diggs is one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's in the top 15, top 20. But they got to get some consistent running going on this offense.
And that's the hope with James Cook. Listen, he was so good at Georgia, a guy who can be a volume back for them. They just want to take the pressure off Josh Allen. He can't be running the ball 15 times a game and throwing the ball 30 times a game. By the way, backup quarterback, they got Case Keenum from the Browns for pennies on the dollar, and that's a very viable backup for them in case something does happen. Please don't. Josh, stay healthy. But yeah, I think this team is, if they're going to go win a Super Bowl, like a lot of people want them to, they have to have a run game that takes the pressure off, especially in Buffalo, Scott, where the weather's bad a lot of the year. You need a run game.
It does get a little crispy up there. Let's switch over to the defensive side. I talked about, I kind of spoiled it with Von Miller being added to it, coming off the champion Rams. But he's old. Let's be honest with you. This is a good defense, though. They don't need him to be spectacular. They just need him to make some plays.
Yeah, listen, this defense, I love their linebacking group. Von Miller, Tremaine Edmonds, and Matt Milano. I really like that group. They're looking for more production out of their D-line. They didn't force a lot of sacks last year. Ed Oliver hasn't quite been that piece that they were hoping for. And then remember last year, they lost Tre'Davious White late in the year, and that was a big loss for them. It showcased their lack of depth at the cornerback position. And I think that's why they went out and they drafted Kyer Elam out of Florida in the first round. They're hoping that he can fill that number 2 role and then, pick some pieces that might be able to play in those nickel packages. I love Micah Hyde at safety. This defense is good. I worry about their depth. I think they need to get after the quarterback, and they didn't do that great last year, but they're hoping with Von Miller and Shaq Lawson and Greg Rousseau out of Miami, they're really hoping that those 3 pieces can actually force some pressures next year.
Yeah, because the pass rush really kind of let them down at times a year ago. Um, they had a good season, right? I mean, I think a lot of the fans and even the players and just everyone that you talk around the Buffalo Bills, it's just the way their season came to a halt. They were kind of up there, and the Chiefs had not been playing well and able to take that game for them. That's just kind of when you think about the Buffalo Bills, it just kind of fits their mantra. And I hate to say that. There's something that you gotta, kind of flip the switch on. Now you're back as a Super Bowl contender. You need to win a Super Bowl, right? I think that's the biggest thing. It's not only getting back to the game. Who can you add to this team? What's the intangibles that can kind of get you over that hump? We think they'll win the division by a long shot. We got Miami as kind of the second, maybe the Patriots kind of, jostling with them for that number 2 spot. They'll win the division easy. The question is can they get home field advantage and work their way all the way through the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they had a great year last year. Some kind of puzzling losses. That opening loss to Pittsburgh, I still don't really know how that happened. I think somebody got space jammed on the Buffalo sidelines and they lost all their talent that day. They had a big loss to Indianapolis middle of the year, 41-15. But, man, they bounced back strong. They finished with some big wins. And again, yes, that Kansas City loss. I mean, it's a loss that literally changed the rule book. We're changing how overtime is done in the playoffs because of that game. I think it was an instant classic, and not just an instant classic, one of my favorite football games I've ever watched. You do wonder. I mean, what ifs? If the Bills win that coin toss, I think there's a non-zero chance.
But they should have never gotten there. That's my point. Right. Like it's the worst management that I've ever seen. Basically, you just kick a pop-up kick to the 5-yard line. That wastes some time. Hey, maybe they want to throw it to Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? Like. It's just I don't know. You're playing not to lose more than playing to win at that point.
Which is crazy because Sean McDermott is, I think, widely considered top 5, top 7 coach in the league. And you just wonder what happens. I mean, but we saw it so happen so many times against the Chiefs last year. The number of times that we had drives come down to Travis Kelce catches 2 big catches, and you're looking at the defense going, you know they're throwing to Kelce, right? Like he's their number 1 target. It was certainly a game they missed Tre'Davious White. I mean, if they have Tre'Davious White out there, I think they feel a lot better. But yeah,
they're not going to have him to start the season either. We got to remember that. They're basically going to be down 2 cornerbacks to start the season. So, pretty nervous to be honest about how they're going to start the season and maybe having to play catch up. You ready for the win-loss game?
Let's do it.
Should we just jump into it?
Yeah,
Last year, 12-7. We talked about it ad nauseum. The loss 42-36 to Kansas City after blowing out the Patriots in the week before in the playoffs. They start the season, I believe, on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
We're getting Bills-Rams in L.A. to get it started. Well done, NFL.
I mean, talk about a great way to kick off the season. I was at the NFL draft when they announced this Thursday night football game, and the crowd went crazy because this is going to be a fun one. In LA at SoFi, I'm going to take the Rams to win this one. I like the Bills a lot. I just think without Tre'Davious White, it's going to be tough to keep up with that offense. I think it's going to be a fun game. Opening games, I always feel like they're like the first hand at a blackjack table. They suck to predict because it can go any way. There's too many variables. But I just think without Tre'Davious White, on the road, again, I love talking about East-West. They're going to have to go all the way to L.A. to start off the year. I like the Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions, probably a big Super Bowl ceremony going on. Emotional win.
Could that play into the Bills' advantage to be going East-West at first of all, the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Right? So you're not playing anybody. I mean, you play the Panthers in your final preseason game like 10 days earlier.
That's tough. That's a tough team.
So you go out there and maybe the Super Bowl ceremony. I mean, LA likes to do things big. I'm expecting a close game. I'm still with you. I think the Rams win this game based on some of the things that the Bills are going to be missing. But I think it's close. I think it's a touchdown or field goal. I think it's a squeaker for the Rams. What way to start the season?
I'm just excited for Cam Akers. Missed all the year last year. I know they're big on Akers. I think that's maybe the biggest thing that nobody's really talking about with the Rams is they're going to get Akers back, and they're big on him in that offense. So I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, I can't think of a better way to start the NFL season than with Bills-Rams on a Thursday night.
Well, they get 11 days off. That's the good thing about starting on that Thursday night. So September 19th will be their home opener.
A Monday night game.
A Monday nighter.
Sunday till week 3.
They'll face Tennessee at home.
Yeah.
And I'm not high on the Tennessee Titans.
I'm not either. I in general, quarterbacks drive the team, and Ryan Tannehill is the most mid-tier quarterback you've ever seen. I like the Bills in this game, a home game. They're going to be.
Hey, in our QB ranking, I think we actually had him lower than that. I think it was just above the trash can.
Yeah, he's not great. And again, remember that team got worse. They got rid of AJ Brown. That's a worse team than they were last year. They're going to be relying a lot on Derrick Henry.
I forget he's with. Yeah, I forget.
Give me the Bills on a lot of days rest back home, possibly coming off a loss. They'll get back to 500.
Well, they obliterated Miami the year before, down in Miami, 35-0. That was also in the first couple weeks of the season. So they're 1-1, week 3. That's September 25th on a little short rest.
Mm-hmm.
They got 2 back-to-back road games. They go down to Miami, which is a very different team all of a sudden. And if you don't have some strength at the secondary, this could be a tougher game for the Bills than it was a year ago.
I'll be honest, Scott. This is a toss-up game if I've ever seen one in Miami early season. I've got the Dolphins winning this game. And I know people are going to say, ooh, Dolphins, Tua, so on and so forth. I don't love that. But here's the thing.
Does it change you anything that they come off, that Dolphins come off the road against Baltimore the week before?
Maybe a little bit, but I think it sort of washes out with it's going to be a short rest week for the Bills coming off the Monday night game. It's a road game, and it's a team that, again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Listen, this secondary, we don't know when Tre'Davious White is back. Most reports are coming sort of mid to late season, Tre'Davious White coming back. This offense now has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle out there. I'm not sure they have the speed to keep up with it. Welcome to the NFL, Kaiir Elam. You're going to be the number 1 corner to kick off this year. I think it's a close game. I am higher on the Dolphins than I think most people are. I like the Dolphins at home to get this win. And maybe one of those wins that you look back at the Bills season, makes the season turn around a little bit. You start off 1-2. Maybe you're not hitting the panic button, but you're definitely a little more elevated in terms of your awareness of what's going on around you.
Well, they flip-flop on week 4. They actually go play the Ravens at Baltimore. So back-to-back road games. You're talking about if you got a 1-2 Bills team that all of a sudden has to go to Baltimore, which a team that we're not high on, but we're high on them being a tough place to play at home.
It's a tough
place to play. I should say.
It's a tough place to play. M&T Bank Stadium, brutal. But I got the Bills beating the brakes off of them. I think at 1-2, this team is going to come in there with a lot to prove. And I don't care if they're down 4 corners. I can stop Rashad Bateman. I don't care what anyone says. It's not a good receiving core. It's about stopping Lamar. And I think the Bills are kind of built to do that with 3 athletic linebackers: Von Miller, Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano. They can contain Lamar Jackson. I got them beating Baltimore and getting back to 500.
Yeah, Baltimore really needs to add some skill players. Let's just put it that way. They have a quarterback that's very skilled, and then it goes way down from there. October 9th, they come back home to Buffalo, Orchard Park, and they got the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. I could beat the brakes off of them, too. Not only are they get them at home, I mean, and by the way, you talk about a fun game. It might possibly be Mitch Trubisky starting back in Buffalo.
That's true.
And I think the Bills are going to want to just prove that they were right in getting rid of Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, well, I actually don't think Mitch Trubisky is that bad. I think he's very Ryan Tannehill-tastic, like right in the bottom middle tier. I think he is whatever. But I think at home against the Steelers, yeah, the Bills got that game.
So they go to 3-2, and then this is the game that everybody will be talking about. It's October 16th. They go back to Kansas City. They go to the scene of the crime right before the bye week.
At Arrowhead, against the team that beat them last year in the playoffs. I got the Bills in this game. Hopefully Tre'Davious White is maybe near coming back at this point, but I just, again...
I don't think they need him. I think the Chiefs' receiving core, very questionable.
I cannot wait till we do our Chiefs preview because I'm going to say some things that's going to make some people mad. But I don't think this Chiefs team got significantly worse. I think the Bills are going to want to make a statement, even though it's in Arrowhead. I think the Arrowhead is the one thing that makes this game closer. If this game is in Buffalo, I think the Bills might win this by 2 touchdowns, but I think in Arrowhead, it's a 1-score game. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. But I got the Bills winning that one, and for the first time, maybe since we've been doing this, Scott, we have an early bye week because every other team feels like it was a week 13 bye.
13, 14. Maybe playing the Texans included as a bye week. I don't know.
It's a bye week. Yeah.
They do get a bye week. They come back on October 30th for a home game. I believe it's Sunday night against Green Bay. So we get to see Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Green Bay is going to be great this year, but anytime you get to see Rodgers against Josh Allen, this is almost like a passing of the torch maybe game.
Yeah. They're 4-2 going into the bye week, and I think they're 5-2 coming out of the bye week with an extra week rest against a Green Bay Packers team that again got significantly worse, losing Devontae Adams. I like the Bills in this game, especially at home. I think this just Bills team is more talented, and also like let's not discount that the Green Bay Packers have to go to Buffalo after going to Washington the week before, which Washington's defense I think is going to be much improved this year. Give me the Bills.
Well, they beat the Jets the following week. It doesn't matter where they play or who they play. I mean, I don't want to take words out of your mouth here, but November 6th, they go to the Meadowlands. They beat the Jets. Then they got to come back home and play. I think it's going to be a very tough Vikings team.
Yeah, I like this Viking team a lot. I think they have a legit shot to win that division. It's a home game, though. I think this is a close game. This is one that I think is 100% dependent on whether Tre'Davious White plays, because I like the Bills to win this game if Tre'Davious White is in there matching up against Justin Jefferson, much more than if Kyer Elam has to match up against him.
You get a little Stephon Diggs, Jefferson. I mean, I know they're not playing each other, but there's a little bit of drama there.
Diggs back playing against his old team. Yeah. Listen, this game I think is going to be a barn burner. I cannot wait to watch this one. I'm going to take the Bills because they're at home in that game. But if there's a game that Kirk Cousins is going to win, listen, it's not a primetime game, so we know Kirk Cousins can win this game. If it was primetime, there's no shot Kirk Cousins can win it. But it's during the day right now. If Dalvin Cook is there, listen, this is going to be a fun one to watch.
I think if this was at Minnesota, I
got Minnesota. 100%.
I think I would be going with the Vikings here, but since it's a home game, I think still riding with Buffalo here is the way to go, and that moves them to 7-2 all of a sudden.
Yeah,
season didn't start well. We had them losing to the Rams and losing to the Dolphins, but all of a sudden they've bounced back. Interesting game on November 20th. As of July 25th, 2022, we still have no word on Deshaun Watson. Will he play? Won't he play? How long will it be until he plays? They host the Browns.
Yeah.
You're the Browns expert here, so I'm not even going to chime in.
Week 11. Though everything that has been said is we're looking at 8 games. If Deshaun Watson plays in this game, I've got the Browns winning. I think the Browns secondary matches up very well with the Buffalo Bills with no run game. I think the pressure can get after Josh Allen. I know it's in Buffalo. That's going to be a fun game to watch. If it's mucked up, I like, by the way, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt way more than Devin Singletary and who else? James Cook. I like the Browns in this one if Deshaun Watson plays. If Jacoby Brissett plays, give me the Bills by 1,000.
I think that's all you can do is go with the brisket. The brisket's going to be here. We talked about coming back. We will be doing wrap-up shows for each division as we get closer. Of course, we'll be breaking down week 1 as we get closer and closer to September 8th. Not September 11th. September 8th is when the season starts. So beat Minnesota, beat Cleveland the way the roster is right now. All of a sudden, they're 9-2.
Yep.
They've run off, what's that now, 7 straight games? 6 straight games.
Yep.
And then I don't want to take a little tangent here because I know you got a little Detroit into you. They got a short day. I mean, 4 days later on a Thursday, they play Detroit Thanksgiving. Are you okay with the Lions keeping this Thanksgiving tradition? We'll talk about the game in a minute.
No.
I want to take a little
Stop
tangent.
ruining Detroit fans' Thanksgiving. Was it supposed to be a day that we're thankful? Can we get another team on Thanksgiving, please? I don't know.
I think when they had Barry Sanders, it was like, all right, they're gonna get beat.
Even when you had Megatron, like okay,
yeah, but I'm gonna get to see some plays. You know, you got some people out there.
Yeah.
I just think there's nothing in it. And the other thing is, if they're not playing a traditional NFC North matchup, like if they're not playing the Bears or something like that, I even care less. I think to get to the game, I think the Bills crush them. Even on 4 days rest, coming off tough games versus the Vikings, tough games against Cleveland, I still think they beat him by 2 touchdowns. Even fatigued, even worn down.
I've got Buffalo in this game by 4 points. I think this game is closer than you think. I think this line's really improved their team. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown looked better last year. Like really towards the end of the year, really came into it. And don't forget that they added a really nice piece in DJ Chark from Jacksonville. I just don't think the Lions have the defense to really keep up with the Bills. I think the Bills are going to be gassed, though, coming off of 2 brutal games, even though they're at home. Those are 2 teams that beat you up. That's why I think it's a close game, but I got the Bills. Let's be honest, it's probably going to be 11 points. Like, it's going to be a 4-point game until the last drive, and then the Bills are going to go score and make it gross. But, yeah, I got the Bills winning that one. I'd love to pick Detroit, but it's Thanksgiving also. It's tradition that the Lions lose on Thanksgiving. They do not win Thanksgiving games anymore.
Yeah, I'm just not into it. I'm not into even the third game. It's usually Ravens playing somebody or something. It's some like, you know, and I'm not a Cowboys fan by any means, but at least their games are normally competitive.
I remember watching like Nebraska play on Thanksgiving, and I always loved that. I always loved the college football Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they used to play Colorado, right?
Right, it was always
Thanksgiving
Nebraska
or the day after.
Yeah, and
you
I
had Texas
better.
A&M.
It was always better than the NFL game.
Yeah. I mean, they've moved the Clemson game to around that, Clemson-Carolina rivalry game to around that. And
is that a rivalry? Is it?
Like a hammer and a nail.
Yeah, sure.
Is a rival. They did beat us 5 straight years when they had Jadeveon Clowney. But, all right. December 1st. Get back in. It's still a Thursday night game. Interesting going to New England against a division rival. A team that we have currently kind of jockeying for that number 2 spot, but probably finish number 3 in the division.
Yeah. I got the Patriots winning this game for no reason other than I think the Bills are going to drop a game eventually. There's not a great reason. I'm not as high on the Patriots as other people are.
Somewhere in there, they're losing a game.
They're going to drop a game. I think this
to Green Bay, Minnesota, Cleveland, or New England. They're going to lose one of those games, right?
Yeah. And I think at Foxborough on Thursday night, we might see. By the way, I would like to point out that last year when we had that what was it, the Buffalo New England game where the Patriots threw it 3 times the entire game and ran it the rest of it. One of my favorite football games I've ever seen. I love that game. It makes me so happy inside, and it's going to be December 1st in Foxborough. You might see it again. I got the Patriots in this one. It's tough to win in Foxborough, and I think they're going to drop a game.
They got to have a bad taste in their mouth from that 47-17 shellacking that Josh Allen and crew put on them last year.
Yep.
Walter's having a good time over here.
What's up, Walter? How you doing? You having fun?
Yeah. He's making a new rug his own.
Oh, good.
Yeah. December 11th. Yeah. You got to claim everything.
They beat the Jets.
They need this game versus the Jets at this point. They need it. They kind of like
bye week.
Yeah, a little murder, not a murderer's row kind of thing, but like they just need a week at home to prepare for maybe a very important game on December 11th. Against the Dolphins, who might be pushing them for the division.
Yeah, and this one is as toss-up. Again, listen, I had the Miami Dolphins beating them time before. I'm not sure if the Dolphins can sweep the Bills. I think that's a bold call. I like this Dolphins team, but I think at home, especially in December in Buffalo, I think the Bills are going to get that game. It's going to be close, and it's going to be, I think, what maybe deciding. I mean, we'll do the Miami win-loss game, but yeah, seriously, this could be deciding the division.
Yeah, that'll be Thursday, by the way, for those that don't know. We got a crazy summer schedule. We're trying to record these and knock these out as quick as we can, and then run them so you guys can catch them. Of course, you can always catch them on demand. We talked about it earlier out on our audio podcast, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you want to find them. You can find all the teams that we've done so far. We're trying to do all 32 before we kick it off. So they're sitting there at 11-3. And an interesting way to close out the season, they go to Chicago on New Year's Eve. For some reason, just feels like a trap game. I still think the Bills win it. But just between that Miami and Cincinnati Bengals game, it feels like a game that if you don't come in mentally sharp, you might trip up.
By the way, I got to ask, is Soldier Field garbage? Like, I hear so many bad things about Soldier Field.
You know, I mean, it's one of the earliest stadiums in the history of.
So it's old.
It's old, right? And they tried to like take. I don't know. You try to take a 65 Mustang and resto mod it to something amazing, but really what you made is a Hyundai.
Yeah.
Right. And no one likes it. All of a sudden, it lost all the charm that a retro stadium had. It's not Lambeau. I think they should have just left it and maybe just upgraded all the facilities. But you got to have the skyboxes. You got to have the suites, Nick. They'll probably build a new stadium. You know they bought, and we'll save this for the Chicago one, but you know they bought a bunch of land out to where the old horse race track.
Yeah.
I think it'll be easier for the fans to get to, yada, yada, yada. So, nevertheless, I think even if it's a trap game, I still think with a bunch on the line, I'm talking maybe the division if they don't take care of Miami and New England as many times as they need to. But the most important thing, I think, for Bills fans this season is to keep an eye on home field advantage because it really cost you last year.
Yeah, I've got the Bills winning this one. I got it like a one-score game, though. This is going to be I'm not just a trap game, but in Chicago on Christmas Eve, place is going to be rocking. I think the Bears might actually be kind of decent this year, especially now that they have the giant
defense is going to be good.
Defense is going to be good, and they don't have the giant ball and chain holding him back. That is Matt Nagy, Matt Eberflus.
Bubble screens and whatnot.
Oh, it's going to be great. I mean, maybe we'll get to see Justin Fields actually be Justin Fields as opposed to be Mitch Trubisky 2.0.
Madden doesn't think he's good. They lowered Mr. Fields,
and I can't blame him because last year was brutal. But
what do you? I mean, nothing. He's proven nothing right now.
Right. You can't do it on hopes and dreams. Although they did do that with Christian McCaffrey and his 94 overall as somebody who's played 4 games in 2 years. But yeah, it's going to be.
They're rating the talent, Nick, not the performance.
Yeah. Well, except for Justin Fields. But yeah, I got the Bills winning this one. It should be a good game though, and by good I mean
I think that'll be a fun game. Like we talk about Lions Bills, although I want to see Josh Allen play, no matter who he's playing.
Right.
I think Bears Bills is just kind of interesting, especially if there's snow in the forecast on a Christmas Eve. We're putting bicycles together. We're building Barbie dream houses.
I'm not 100% sure it's going to be an entertaining game because it could be 15-mile-an-hour winds and snowing, and it could be a 10.
I think it's 13-3, 13-7 kind of.
But I think it's going to be interesting in that it is Christmas football, and I think it's going to hit that.
Yeah, it'll feel like football weather and then some. Monday night game. They get a little time off. They get a little 8 days. That'll be the day after New Year's. So January 2nd, they go to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Which, this could be a playoff preview of who might get home field advantage over there in the AFC. That's really what these next couple games come down to.
Yeah, I got the Bengals winning this one at home. I think it's a fun game, and I think it's one I'm going to want to watch for sure. But I got the Bengals.
Probably some good Monday night matchups.
Yeah, it's both teams are coming off a Saturday game. That's the NFL schedule. It's the Saturday to Monday to avoid the holidays. But yeah, I like the Bengals in this one. I think I'm not sure that the depth defense of the Bills is going to be able to keep up with what I think is what might be the best receiving core in the league with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Hayden Hurst, I think is their tight end now. I think they're cool, but yeah, I got the Bengals in this one.
I think the secondary, especially if White doesn't come back the player he was, might be the downfall of the season.
Yeah,
for this team. You talk about them having trouble getting a pass rush last year. If they don't have it this year, there's going to be some teams with really elite quarterbacks that are going to eat the Bills up, especially late in the season.
Yeah. Yep.
So we come down to that final game. Do you have them going, do we get 4 losses in here, 5 losses in here? What are you sitting at?
I got the Patriots beating them in week 18 for no reason. Then I don't think this game is going to matter.
Okay.
I think this game is going to be a wash for them. I don't think they're going to have anything to play for at this point. I think at this point, going through my head, they are going to have home field wrapped up at this point. AFC West is going to beat up on themselves. I can't wait to do that division. And AFC North, I don't think is going to have a high enough win total to match the Bills. And I think the AFC South is, it's the AFC South. They've got Jacksonville in there. Like, it's not great. They got a pretty weak division. And so I think at that point, they're probably going to have it all wrapped up. And I think Bill Belichick's going to go in there in week 18. I think the Patriots are going to have something to play for. They're fighting for a wild card at that point. And I think that they're going to come in and beat the Bills. And I don't know who's starting. Case Keenum's going to be starting for the Bills. That's going to be fun.
So, you got them 13-4 or 12-5?
I think 12-5 is probably where they are.
One win better than a year ago. Where they won 11 games in the regular season.
Again, it is one of those that I think the biggest reason why I give them that loss in week 18 is because I still go Green Bay, Minnesota, Cleveland. They're going to lose a game there, I think. I just don't know which one. I think on paper they match up well with all those teams, but I think those are all their most losable games. So they're going to drop one there. I think they probably drop one at the end of the season to Cincinnati. But yeah, I think 12-5 is where I have them.
Number 1 seed?
I got number 1. I think the AFC North winner, I think we said was going to be around 11 wins. And
I think the AFC West, although we're really excited to break that down before the season starts, I think they're gonna beat up on each other.
10 or 11, like this.
They're gonna beat up each other out there.
It's it's gonna be tough out there. I it's not gonna like discount how good they are, and it's not gonna discount playoff predictions. But yeah, I don't see the AFC West winner getting 10. I don't see him getting to 12, and the AFC South winner I don't see getting to 12.
Well, that'll put a bow on the Buffalo Bills, who we got winning the AFC East, possibly the number 1 seed, trying to get that home field advantage, something they didn't have last year. It really hurt them against the Chiefs. Next time, we'll have our first Thursday episode. It'll be the Miami Dolphins. New coach, Tyreek Hill, joins the fold. They got a lot of speed. Will they be able to stop anybody? We'll talk about that next week. We'll be back with some more right here on the show.